What's up, guys? We are back again with our partners over at FANATICS Sportsbook and talking FANCASH. Now, most sports books, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. When you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. Did we mention that they are giving away millions in FANCASH this year and that you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, and I am here with DJ Zullo, who I will bring up to say a few words in a moment, as we are here to talk about a Knicks loss, 121-111 to the Milwaukee Bucks. It is not their first loss of the season, but it is the first moment of the season where my favorite word in the English language is going to come into play. And that word, friends, is consternation. Because let me tell you, there will be some of it flowing freely after this loss. Look, it's going to be a long season. There's 82 games in this thing for a reason. And we said before the year started that the adjustment to the Mike Brown offense was going to take some time. Mike Brown was going to try very as much as possible to instill something very different from what the Knicks were used to doing last year and indeed in the last 5 years. And it was going to, again, involve a lot more players doing a lot more different kinds of things. It was going to be not as much, Jalen Brunson doing Jalen Brunson stuff. And the eventual goal of bringing in that offense, and we're going to talk about the defense tonight because the defense really is why the Knicks lost this game. Knicks lost this game on both ends of the floor, but we're going to talk about both parts of where they lost it. But, the whole goal of the offensive revolution, let's just call it, is to make it so that, if there's a night where Jalen Brunson maybe doesn't have it or whatever, you don't want to overtax him. It's not all the Jalen Brunson show and then his friends are along for the ride. And part of that, it's unlocking Mikal Bridges and it's using more of his skill set. By the way, 6 assists for Mikal Bridges. Nice number there. It's using more of OG Anunoby, what he could do. But a big part of it is the utilization of Karl-Anthony Towns, who is now about to enter his second decade in the league. This is year 10 for Karl-Anthony Towns. And he is as decorated a non-Pantheon level player as you're going to find. Like once you get past the guys who are the ones we are going to, tell our grandkids that we witness them someday. Carl's right at he's in that next level, or at least that's what his resume says. But this guy came into the league as what was supposed to be a revolutionary big man, someone who would change everything with what he was able to do on one side of the floor and then hold up his end of the bargain on defense. We don't have to talk about defense, but just focusing on the offense. Again, we're now in year 10 of this. Year 10 of the Karl-Anthony Towns experience. And the questions that I will field on this postgame tonight are the same questions that we have fielded about this player for every one of the previous 9 seasons. And I got news for you, folks. If he plays another 10 years after this one, we're going to be fielding those same questions for the next 10 years after that. Because sometimes a player is what he is. And Karl-Anthony Towns, as much as any player in basketball, for better and for worse, is what he is. You could bring in Tom Thibodeau. You could bring in Mike Brown. You could bring in Red Holzman. You could bring in Red Auerbach. Any other Reds I'm forgetting? I don't think so. It ain't going to make a damn difference. Because at some point, The players got to hold up his end of the bargain. And a lot of people had a lot of issues with me this summer when I said some things about Cat coming off the last playoff performance. I heard it all, took it all in. Happy to do so because I said what I said with conviction. And when I watch games like tonight, I am reminded of why I felt that way coming off of what was a very successful postseason for the team and at times for Karl-Anthony Towns individually. And yet why, again and again and again, do I watch this player and ask myself, boy, Macri, why do you have so little confidence that they're ever going to be able to scale the mountaintop with that dude as their second best player? And nights like tonight reinforce my belief. So that's where I'm starting right now, Deej. But I'm going to flip it to you because there's a lot more nuance to this game than just Cat. But it feels to me disingenuous to start anywhere else.
I think you have to start with Cat. And I think the tact I'll take is maybe slightly different. Did I think he played a good game? No. Was he at times bad? Yes. Did Mike Brown do a great job of making life easier for him? No, he did not. And I think that came about in two, distinct ways. One, when they traded for Karl-Anthony Towns and then brought in Mike Brown, the theory behind that to me was like, you now have a center and a coach that should be a very complementary pairing in the sense that Mike Brown came from Sacramento. He had a big in Domantas Sabonis that he played small ball five with a lot and utilized his skill set, I think, very well. And part of that was allowing him space to operate in the middle of the floor. To me, when your offense is Karl-Anthony Towns post-ups against Kyle Kuzma, something has gone wrong. And we could sit here and say, yeah, Karl-Anthony Towns should be able to put Kyle Kuzma in the basket like prime Shaquille O'Neal and score bucket after bucket. And I hear that argument. But as you've pointed out, John, many times, the player is the player. We know that that is not how Karl-Anthony Towns, A, wants to play, and B, can consistently be effective in playing that style. Why not give Karl-Anthony Towns an opportunity with a true 5-out look and let him have the space that you afforded Domantas Sabonis in your time in Sacramento? Why did you pair him, to harken back even to last season and what we saw when the offense got very stodgy and stale? Why did you pair him so much tonight with Josh Hart, who, listen, I might be at the mountaintop of Josh Hart defenders, but right now the player that we're getting is just very, very flawed. More flawed than his normal, because right now he has no confidence that he can shoot the ball effectively. You're not getting the other offensive intangibles as a passer or a transition spark plug. So all you're getting is Josh Hart in the half court, making life very easy for the Milwaukee Bucks when they want to send help. As we saw last year, the center guarded Josh Hart when he was on the floor. So when you have Kuzma guarding Towns and you want to send help, you have opportunities to do so because you are not worried about Josh Hart beating you from the 3-point line. Mike Brown, his decision to, in terms of playbook, in terms of play calling, and then also the rotation and the pairing with Hart and Towns was a big factor tonight. Having said all of that, Towns just needs to figure out a way. And that's where I think your biggest criticism lies, is that you're not going to be given the pristine 5-out alignment that you can maybe flourish in all the time. And that it's going to be down and dirty. And where there were times in the playoffs last year where he was able to be effective in that way. But I don't think you can consistently expect Karl-Anthony Towns to be a really true co-star number 2 option if that is the sort of offense that you're expecting him to be good at. And that is, at one sense, a critique of Karl-Anthony Towns, but also a critique of the head coach, who still, to his credit, is trying to figure out how to generate offense, especially when Jalen Brunson is not on the floor. Very much a work in progress, as a lot of this is going to be. But there was a lot of things wrong with how Karl-Anthony Towns played. I just don't think it was all on him. And I think the coach needs to look himself in the mirror and say, am I at this juncture putting my second best player in the best opportunities to be his best? And I think that is one of the big takeaways after this one for me.
And it's a great call. And I was going to get to Hart next. I'll talk a little bit about Hart right now. You said it before, the Hart Towns pairing played. It ended up, the final number was 22 minutes and 8 seconds. So that means, excuse me. Sorry. No, that's Brunson and Towns. Sorry. Hart and Towns played 16 minutes and 7 seconds, 16 minutes, 7 seconds. So essentially for 16 minutes, Karl-Anthony Towns played with Josh Hart. That pairing was a minus 14. In the nearly 20 minutes that Karl-Anthony Towns played without Josh Hart, he was a plus 16. Now, big reason for that is Karl-Anthony Towns was on the floor for much of the Knicks' explosive second quarter, in which they outscored the Bucks 45-32. He was great. All of the Knicks were great during that second quarter. The offense was flowing. You said it towards the end of our playback watch along. Give some credit to the Bucks, who were kind of laying down and dying in the second quarter defensively. They came out in the third quarter. They picked up their intensity. They came out and won this game just as much as the Knicks lost it through stuff they did on the court or decisions that the coach made on the sidelines. So, yeah, I completely agree with you on Josh Hart. The version of Josh Hart that we are getting right now, and Josh Hart, again, we love Josh Hart, Knicks Film School. Always going to be big fans of what Josh Hart brings to the table. He has a lifetime pass from me just based on the fact that he goes out there and he tries to be a gamer. He's not helping them right now. And if you are looking at the box score and you see that Josh Hart took 5 shots and 4 of those shots were threes, and I couldn't believe it when he actually made one of them. It's like a Christmas miracle. That would seem to be playing right into the Bucks' hands. And, again, just to put a finer point on it, Josh Hart minus 18 in the game in 26 minutes. That number does not feel like a misnomer. It does not feel like an inaccurate representation of how Hart played. And yet the not to give Brown a pass, but to point out that with the Knicks down, Mitchell Robinson, the Knicks down, Deuce McBride still out for personal reasons. We hope everything is fine. Then he'll be back hopefully on Friday. And then tonight, a guy who's been getting a lot of shit so far in the first 3 games, Gershon Yabusele, out with a knee issue. So that's 3 of what were supposed to be your top 9 are out. And so you are left with the guys who started, and he started Landry Shamet tonight over Josh Hart. So we should note that for as much as we may have some misgivings, he could have very well started Hart, and he didn't. He started Landry Shamet, which I think we all agree was the right decision. And Shamet responded going 4 of 9 from 3. You wonder whether Shamet should have been on the floor for the Brown tried to rectify this late by bringing in Shamet for Hart. It was too little too late. But in any case, after the starting 5, you had Hart, who played 26 minutes. You had Tyler Kolek, who started with a flurry, who made it 3 when he first came in, and he ended with a flurry with drew a foul, and he had a nice bucket. In between, it was fine, but whatever. Tyler Kolek, those are your backup point guard minutes. You're not like Jalen Brunson played 34. Tyler Kolek played 11. Like, it's fine. Clarkson played 17 minutes. He made 4 or 7 shots. He was part of that second, the run at the top of the second quarter. I would not say that Clarkson was great tonight. He was fine. And then after that, we're talking Ariel Hukporti. And Ariel Hukporti, to me, looked a little overmatched tonight. Just like he looked a little overmatched against the Miami Heat. And then you remember, he was the 58th pick in the draft a year ago. Mm-hmm. So should we be shocked? I know he's an older player. I know we're all high on Hukporti's potential, the whole thing. And that's it. That's your bench. So, you lose. I mean, look, you lose 3 rotation players. Like, this is what you're going to be looking at. Yes, Mohamed Diawara got him a couple of seconds of time. Good for him. So I
yeah, no, that's a fair response, and maybe it would have been too hard to sort of concoct the minutes to prevent Hart and Cat from sharing the floor for 16 minutes. Could you have figured out a way to make that 8 minutes and cut that in half?
Maybe
I could have figured it out, but then you are giving up size and rebound. I mean, I know there's a lot of things that go into it, and they are down 3. A lot of rotation guys, and the Bucks shot. Oh, go ahead, finish your thought.
No, I was going to say, DJ, because if the other part of it, if you're not playing Hart with Cat, you're playing Hart with Hukporti, and then you're really jamming yourself up.
But here, that and there, you can play Brunson with Hukporti and Hart. I feel more confident in a weird way that Brunson can figure out a way to generate offense versus Cat with Hart. But then
that goes us. Then that's a right back around to the fact that, okay, should those be words coming out of your mouth about an All-NBA player, that we need to put Jalen Brunson, we need to stick him with the 2 non-spacers, because for this guy who is making $57 million a year, and again, All-NBA player, has the resume, the whole thing, but we need to go out of our way to accommodate him with all of this spacing. That doesn't seem fair and equitable, and to the other part of it, though, I do agree with you. The post-up stuff where the Hart's in the game, Hart's not in the game, that's not ideal. Why maybe aren't we seeing more face-up stuff? And again, that's where I kind of lean on the thing I keep saying, which is like, why is it 10 years worth of asking questions about why no coach could figure out how to fully utilize this guy? Is it maybe time to look at something else?
I feel like we know the answers. And listen, I don't know if these were a Cat calling his own number, and
it wouldn't be the first time.
Wouldn't be the first time, but were these design play calls to get him post up against Kuzma, which, listen, I don't think is an advantage for the Knicks. I don't think Kuzma is a great defender, but we talked about this on the watch along. Like Cat, when you just ask him to do one thing and defend his man, he could do a pretty good job, especially guarding up against centers. He's really good at that. And Towns, although he made one good pass out of a double team, generally has not been great finding the outlet and finding the cracks of the defense when they send doubles. When he's posting up, he's just much better when he's facing. Now, even when he's facing, it doesn't come without downsides and risks. He gets a lot of offensive fouls on his drives. His drives this year, I think, they're always a little haphazard, but I feel like they've been a little more haphazard. Like he had one drive against
Cat.
Even for Cat, he had one drive against Kuzma going to his left, finishing back to his right. A shot he can make, but it's not a high percentage shot. And it's part of the reason why he hasn't shot 50% from the field yet in a single game this year. It's not only the lineup configurations, not only the coach. He's not making shots. And maybe the injury is another factor here that we should consider, that he's technically injured. He's got what he called a grade 2 quad strain, which is, players usually miss time with that. So maybe that's another piece to this.
Awesome. That might be it. I will just point out James Edwards III just sent out a tweet. Excuse me. Mike Brown said he thought the first half offense was beautiful. The defense was solid. That the ball did move in the second half. Said the first half offense started with Cat making plays out of double teams. I watched this game with you. There were a few of such plays, I guess. Did you feel like the first half offense started with Cat making plays out of double teams?
No, I feel like it started with Brunson
being Brunson,
calling his number a little bit in the first quarter, and in the second quarter, these games are hard the first watch. Maybe there was some of that. It didn't feel like that was a big takeaway for me.
It was not the big takeaway for me. Maybe we're two idiots. Or maybe this is Mike Brown knowing that he has a player right now that is struggling above the neck as much as he is below it, and trying to throw him a bone.
Well, that's the other part of that, right? Mentally, whereas Towns, which we all saw the press conference. It was before opening night, right? It was the last practice before.
Yep.
And we all sort of wondered about the body language and the way he, not only what he said, but how he said it. I think there's something to that. And
if I could go a step further.
Yeah.
Who were they playing tonight?
Yeah. Well, there you go. The guy that he was rumored to be potentially traded for, potentially.
I mean, look, Ian Begley came on the show, and I flat out asked Ian. I'm like, I mean, I know you're not going to be able to give me an answer, but can you tell me, like,
did they make a real offer?
Yeah, and he's like, or I asked him to name. I said name names, and he's like, I don't have it firm enough, but like, everybody could go look at the cap sheet. It's like, what do you think?
Yeah, it's so complex. Like I feel like I can write an essay on this game of like what went wrong from the injury, from where he is mentally, from the play calling, the lineups, just the lack of shot making, which typically has been his calling card. And there's just a lot that he's dealing with, I'm sure. And didn't get off to a great start last year. So maybe there's a slow start aspect to this right now.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I had a couple rough ones, but so a couple other things that will emerge big picture wise, and I already kept you longer than I said I was going to keep you, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer.
I'm good.
The conversation about are the Knicks taking too many threes I don't know if it will pick up steam after this game. I will say they did shoot 32.5% from three. They made 8 threes in the second quarter of this game. They made 5 threes the rest of the game. Once again, I thought they got good looks for the most part, where there are a couple that weren't great looks. Yeah, a couple that weren't great, but for the most part, I think they're getting good looks. They're still not going down. 43s, 13 for 40. 43s is fine. I don't think anybody is going to complain about that.
Only 11 from the corner, which is lower than what their frequency has been this year. So maybe that's, if you're going to critique one thing, the vast majority of shots they were taking were of the tougher ilk.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Bucks were keyed in on that. Like, hey, don't give the Knicks open corner threes. So that's something we should mention. The biggest story from the game is really probably Jalen Brunson getting hurt. We hope that he is not going to have any lingering effects. Obviously, he came back in the game, finished the game. I mean, it was I won't go so far as to say a spectacular Brunson game. 36 points on 25 shots. We have gotten so spoiled with this player that's like, okay, that's a fine game. It did, we should note when the offensive issues started in the third quarter, there were some Brunson shots that were like, wow, how did that not go down? And that's really, and then eventually he left the game and things got really bad on the offensive end. I said at the top, like they lost it on defense. The reason I said that, Deej, and we kind of pointed out at the time, when they were going gangbusters all world offense in the second quarter, I think because they were scoring at will, they let down their guard on the other end. And it was very obvious they let down their guard on the other end. The last like 3-4 minutes of the first half, and the Bucks started putting the ball in the basket during that time. And I said it to you. I said, like, yeah, it's an 18-point turnaround. That's great. Or whatever it was, a 20-something. Like, it should have been a 30-point turnarolike they should have gone up by 20.
There was a Taurean Prince open 3. There was a Coffee open 3. Just like breakdowns, like practice shot type stuff that they gave up within that second quarter. That is a big piece of it. The defense overall, I'm kind of okay with where they stand right now. I did just look. The Bucks shot 20 of 21 at the rim in this one.
Is that good?
It's pretty good. It'd be nice to have your potential, defensive all defense center back for one of these games to help protect the basket.
Wait, Deej, did you not? You didn't get the.
I didn't get the memo. Was there a memo? Is there a new one?
There is. It is. They are still managing his workload, which is currently at 0. So, as I understand it, if you are at 0, The only way to maintain something at 0 is to keep it at 0, which I think is the plan moving forward. And again, this has all been calculated. Nothing to see here.
I mean, it's not like he played any preseason games. Not like he played a lot in that first preseason game. I mean, clearly the plan was to manage the minutes at 0 from the jump.
Clearly the plan was go out and play 18 first half minutes in the first preseason game. Go out and play whatever. I forget how many minutes it was in the second preseason game. Decent number of minutes.
Yeah.
And then go out there and play most of the first half in the third preseason game. And then go hibernate like a bear until April. That is the workload management plan.
Yeah. And they could, I mean, he is not a Giannis stopper, but he is a obvious deterrent at the rim. Yeah. The 20 of 21 is an insane percentage, and the Knicks were 12 of 24 on their end. So if you're going to chalk the game up to anything, the rim efficiency is a big area that the Knicks hemorrhaged a lot of points. And
it's just utterly wild that the team that we saw go out there and score like it was an open run ended up shooting 42.4% from the field in this game and 32.5% from three.
Yeah. And I think I said this on the watch long as well. It's like we saw this offense last year when teams really dug in and were physical. And, you know, the microcosm of that is the Detroit series. You could take the Knicks out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
The third quarter felt like that was the biggest takeaway for me, is that the Bucks came out with an edge and intensity that the Knicks offensively could not generate quality looks out of. We've talked about the Towns piece, and then, you know, Mike Brown maybe not doing the best job of getting him quality opportunities, possessions, but, you know, the Bucks deserve that credit. And obviously Giannis with the two-way performance in that second half was elite. So a lot of, again, we've talking about process and building towards May and June, but there are certain questions that have come up in this season that were questions last year. And that's the only part that I feel is a little bit disconcerting, is that I think we still have some of those same questions. And you would have hoped that at this point, you'd have some more confidence that we're going to get some answers on those one way or the other.
Before we get to that, we'll end with that point. But before we do, we haven't talked about either of New York's wings. OG Anunoby, not without fault in this game, 3 of 11 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3. A couple of good looks didn't go down, a couple of not so great looks again. But 6 3-pointers, I think, is fine for him. I'm going to give him a little bit more of a pass because he had to guard the current MVP of the league through 4 games for pretty much the entire night. And like, again, I know what Giannis did. You can't do a much better job than OG Anunoby did for the majority of the night. I thought OG Anunoby was pretty good defensively. And Mikal Bridges, again, no one's going to care about it. No one's going to talk about it. Mikal Bridges was outstanding tonight. Like, capital O, outstanding. 24 points, 8 of 16 from the field. Got to the line, is being now aggressive at the rim. Mikal Bridges is being aggressive at the rim. 5 for 5 from the free throw line. 11 rebounds, talking about physicality. 6 assists. This is one of the better games that Mikal Bridges that we've seen him play. It was awesome. And again, no one's going to care about it because we're dealing with all this other nonsense. Again, my fault. It's a half an hour in. Is the first time I'm saying his name. That's my bad.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it. And he also had to guard AJ Green, who is just a really tough cover in this league. I think he's an underrated player, runs off a ton of screens. He's a screener in a lot of those actions. So held him, you know, in check for the most part. Good two-way performance by Bridges. I think he continues to just look very comfortable in this offense and looks, for the most part, better than he did on the defensive end compared to last year. So nice performance by him. And I agree that OG deserves a pass on the offensive end with what he had to do on defense.
Yeah. But just to finish this off, and then I'm going to send you on your way.
Yeah.
This goes back to what I started with.
Mm-hmm.
We all knew it was going to be a process. We all knew it was going to take time. We all knew this was not going to happen overnight. That being said, my famous last words. I think you want to have a sense that the bricks that you're laying down, I'm not talking about missed shot bricks. I'm talking about the bricks that you're laying down of like whatever like this new foundation is going to be are like you could get a sense of what it's eventually going to become. Mm-hmm. And I think the part about tonight, and yeah, we all overreacting about a game that's, we're in October. It's not Halloween yet, let alone Christmas. But I think what was concerning about tonight is it was like, okay, we all said it over the summer, and you said it very eloquently before. If unlocking Karl-Anthony Towns was not job description number one for Mike Brown, it couldn't have been far behind job description number one. Maybe job description number one was like pick up your phone when the front office calls you. Right. If you see a front office member walking your direction in the hallway, don't immediately turn and walk the other direction and like leave the building. That's job description number one. Job description number two, unlock Karl-Anthony Towns. And so I think you wanted to see, and did we see some stuff in preseason? Yeah, we absolutely saw some stuff in preseason, just as we've seen some stuff here in the regular season. That's been encouraging. So then you have to ask yourself the next question. It's like, all right, well, if we've already kind of seen the vision of what it is and what it maybe wants to be, why didn't we see it at all tonight? And again, you could turn to what you said, and it was like, well, they got to trade Josh Hart. They got to get Josh Hart off this team. You can't play Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns together. All right, like, listen. Well,
I didn't say trade Josh Hart.
No. I'm not saying you said that, but like, there were people. Trust me, there were people who were already wanting to trade.
Oh,
Josh
I'm watching the chat. Yeah, that's happening.
And look, Josh Hart needs to get right, and if Josh Hart doesn't get right, like this, I'll just say it. If Josh Hart doesn't get right, this team's not winning anything. Like they were conceived of with Josh Hart playing an important role. And when Josh Hart is right physically, he will play an important role. He's not right physically right now. But I still think it's bigger than that. It's bigger than, again, we should not be sitting here about saying words about the all NBA level player and being like, well, he, 2 for 12, whatever. He couldn't do anything against Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, but he had Josh Hart on the floor with him. So, I mean, really, can you blame him? No, that cannot be it. That cannot be it. It has to be more to it than that. So where are we going from here? What's the plan? How are we going to get Karl-Anthony Towns to the point where, because look, they play like this was a playoff level game, and it's not going to cut it. And we saw it too often already. And I wish I knew that there was going to be some plan in place to at least have a consistent approach. Everybody has bad nights. Everybody has nights where they miss shots. But if there are nights where it's like, why does this feel like pulling teeth? And this guy is so talented. Those are the nights that I think everybody thought that with the Brown hire, we would avoid more of those nights. And there's talking about one here in the fourth game of the season.
Yeah. And then even stepping back, it's like further than how you're referring to it. Like, what are we getting with Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson interacting and making each other better? It was nothing tonight. And you saw a concerted effort to start the Miami game for those two to be involved in almost every possession with their slot to slot weave action, with Towns receiving the handoff and generating all those threes, and Brunson playing off that and faking the DHO and getting downhill. And offense did not generate a ton of results out of that, but you saw good shots out of it. And it felt like that was, I thought it would carry over into this one. But, and again, this is maybe the experimentation that Mike Brown is now involved in, trying to figure out, all right, let's give it each one of these little nooks and crannies and ideas and figure out what makes the most sense. But I think you want to see more Towns and Brunson interacting, playing off each other, even in off-ball action, which you saw in the preseason and early on, where you have Brunson screening for Cat and off-ball, and having those two create gravity to the point where it creates reactions, and then you can play off that. You just didn't see a lot of it in this one, and then makes it harder when you have a forward on Karl-Anthony Towns. It just will always do, because you can always switch the Brunson Cat pick and roll. Is something we've always talked about. It doesn't mean you still can't run it.
And guess what? If Josh Hart moves to Timbuktu tomorrow and never plays another game, got news for everybody. You're still getting forwards on Cat for as long as he's on this team. Why, if you're an NBA team, would you do anything other than that? What evidence do you have that it will materially hurt you?
Well, it would just, that's the point. And the counter to that would be, at least Anunoby, Bridges, you can do a better job of weaponizing that. But you
could weaponize the center on those other players.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. But still, you're still not getting the what I was referring to as the 2-man synergy between your two best players, which the Knicks haven't had consistently. And that's at one point disappointing, but also it just makes sense if you're an opposing defense, that's what you're trying to take away. So it's still a work in progress for sure, but
it is.
We're still working through it.
Deej, thank you for working through with me here at the top of the post game.
Sure.
I kept you for a while, but I do appreciate it because, again, it's early in the season, but it's never too early to start raising some red flags.
Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.